The cowboy rode slowly across the dry, dusty plains. His boots were worn, his hat tattered by sun and wind. He wasn't in a hurry. Hadn't been in years. There was no one waiting for him. No wife, no kids, no family ranch to return to. Just the endless path, his old horse, and the silence he'd come to accept. He stopped by a crooked wooden sign that read, Clancy's Trading Post, a 3 miles. His water was low, his horse was tired, and he figured he could use some rest. He tugged gently on the reins, and the horse turned toward the trail that led to town. Clancy's wasn't much: a general store, a rundown saloon, and a few scattered homes. It was the kind of place you passed through, not stayed in. He tied his horse outside the saloon, adjusted his belt, and walked inside, boots stomping on the floorboards. The bartender gave him a nod. "Whiskey?" He nodded once. The drink came without small talk. After a couple of sips, he stepped outside again, squinting under the afternoon sun. That's when he saw them. A girl no older than 8 stood at the edge of the porch, barefoot and holding a baby wrapped in a dusty pink blanket. Her dress was worn at the seams, her hair tied in 2 uneven braids. But her eyes were full of something strange. "I hope, maybe." She looked at him, then slowly walked up, cradling the infant gently. He didn't speak, neither did she for a long time. And then, in a voice that was too steady for someone her age, she said, "Can you buy us, mister?" The cowboy blinked. "What did you just say?" The little girl took a breath. "Can you buy us? Me and my baby sister. We don't cost much." His heart lurched. He crouched down, leveling his eyes with hers. "Where's your mama, girl?" She turned her head slightly. That's when he saw the woman sitting on the porch of the general store, head down, arms limp beside her. She wasn't moving, but she wasn't asleep either. Her face was thin, pale, and covered in sweat. Her dress, once white, was now gray with dust and time. The cowboy stood slowly. He walked over to the woman. "Ma'am," he said, gently. No answer. Her eyes fluttered open for a second, then closed again. "She's sick," said the girl behind him. "She hasn't eaten since yesterday morning. We walked 2 days to get here." "Why?" he asked. "Pa got shot in Lubbock," the girl whispered. "Man he worked for said he was stealing, but Pa never stole nothing. We waited for him to come home for 2 weeks. Then Mama said we had to find help, but nobody wanted us." The cowboy knelt down beside the woman again. He took off his hat, placed it over his chest, and stared at her. "Please," the girl said, "just buy us. You don't have to keep us forever. Just a broken bar. Take us somewhere we can live." The cowboy didn't know what to say. He had money, and not much, but enough. More importantly, he had no one. And now, these 3 strangers stood before him, clinging to a thread of survival. He picked up the baby first. She stirred but didn't cry. Her cheeks were sunken, and her fingers were cold. "What's your name, girl?" he asked. "Leela," she said softly. "Her name's June." "Mama's name is Evelyn." "All right, Leela," he said. "We ain't talking about buying people, but I'll help you. That okay?" She nodded, eyes shining. He carried the baby to the saloon and kicked open the door with his boot. Heads turned. "I need water," he barked. "Clean, now, and bread or whatever you got in the back." No one questioned him. Within minutes, he had a basin of water, a loaf of bread, and a chair for Evelyn. He cradled June in one arm and fed the baby droplets of water soaked into bread with the other. The bartender helped carry Evelyn inside. She came to slowly, confused and frightened. When she saw Leela, she burst into tears. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to give up." The cowboy sat beside her. "You don't have to. I got room on my wagon. I got a cabin out west in no fancy town, but there's land, water, and food." She tried to protest, but he stopped her. "I ain't doing this for charity," he said. "I'm doing it because I've been walking alone too long. Maybe broken bar, maybe it's time I stop." Tears filled Evelyn's eyes again. Leela hugged her mama tightly. They left the next morning. He bought them new clothes from the general store and supplies for the road. Evelyn was still weak, but she could sit upright in the wagon. Leela rode with the cowboy on the horse, holding the reins like a proud rancher's daughter. Days passed. June started smiling again. Evelyn's color returned. Leela began to laugh. One night, under a sky full of stars, Evelyn sat by the fire, watching the cowboy tend to the horse. "Why are you really doing this?" she asked. He didn't turn. "Because I saw myself in your eyes. All that pain, all that loss. I know what it's like to have no one. You don't tell us anything." "I don't," he agreed, "but I've had years of silence, nights with no sound but the wind. I reckon I want something different now." Evelyn smiled faintly. "You don't even know us." "I know enough." They reached his cabin 4 days later. It wasn't big, but it was clean. The porch overlooked a wide field of yellow grass, with a creek running through the back, a place forgotten by time, perfect for starting over. Leela raced around the field like it was hers from birth. June cooed in her mama's arms. The cowboy unpacked the wagon, then walked out to the porch, watching them. "You sure about this?" Evelyn asked. He looked at her. "No one's ever really sure," he said, "but sometimes you gotta take the chance." The days grew into weeks. Evelyn started tending the small garden beside the cabin. Leela learned how to ride properly and help mend fences. The cowboy taught her how to use a lasso and sharpen a knife. June began crawling, her laughter filling the house. And something strange happened. The silence in the cowboy's soul broken bar, it started to break. Every morning when June babbled, every evening when Leela asked him to tell her a story, every time Evelyn thanked him with soft eyes that meant more than words ever could. He'd once believed that life had passed him by, that he'd be alone until the end, but now a broken bar. Now he had something else. One evening, as the sun dipped low, casting golden light over the plains, Leela sat beside him on the porch. "Are we yours now?" she asked. He smiled slowly. "No, Leela, you're not mine," he said. She looked disappointed. "You're not many a broken bar, but I'm yours." Her face lit up, and she threw her arms around him. He held her close, eyes stinging. Inside the cabin, Evelyn watched through the window. She pressed a hand to her chest, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. And out in the distance, a hawk circled over the golden fields, so free, fierce, and flying towards something new.